Nelson.
Good gravy.
A radio host.
Found myself 2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier.
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which two ends come together.
More informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
KTLK AM 1150, you're with Nelson Radio. We're fresh back from last week's remote broadcast down at Lion Air Museum down in Orange County at John Wayne Airport, and we had a fantastic show. Billie Jean King joined us, of course, and it was absolutely great content. This show is going to, I think, Phil, surpass. I'm here with Phil Giangran, our producer, and I think we're going to surpass last week's effort. So it's going to be a very, very solid show. We're going to start off, as we often do, with Street Noise, heading around the Southland to find out what's taking place with some of the expansion plans for the real estate companies today. And then we're going to shift focus and take another look, a little more detailed look at the bankruptcy space with one of the industry's bankruptcy specialists, Kelly Johnson from the law office of Kelly S. Johnson. And then we're going to shift over to Coach's Corner. And I've got a surprise for you. The day before Easter surprise coming up with Coach's Corner.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know it. You're kind of leaning
Did you
forward.
get the Pope?
Close. This is one step down from the Pope. Doesn't have his own Pope-mobile, but he's going to be joining us. I'll let you know all about him in Coach's Corner. And then, of course, we're going to close out the show as we do with the Stump the experts, and field some listener questions. And, of course, take a look, especially at this time of Easter, take a look at how we can help others as blessed as we are. And we're going to showcase a new child from Treasures of Africa. This Street Noise segment brought to you by our legal partner, the law office of Michael L. Fell, one of Orange County's most recognized criminal defense and victim rights attorneys. Give us a call during the show. We want to hear from you. You can contact us direct by texting my name Nelson to 313131 or giving us a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. So I saw Phil in this week's, I think it was the OC Register, and they were talking about one of the prominent Orange County real estate firms, First Team Real Estate, and they're announcing plans to expand. And certainly we've seen the housing market have this run-up and surge of activity. And Rick Brotherton from First Team saying that they feel a need to catch up with the growth that the market is experiencing and add offices and add agents. And so I wanted to jump around the Southland and really just get a read from our Street Noise participants on, is it necessary? Do we need new agents? Do we need new real estate firms? Or is it a saturated market already? So kicking that off, we have our trusted advocate, Marco Rufo from Berkshire Hathaway over in the Pacific Palisades area. Marco, are you with us?
How you doing there, Nelson?
We're rocking. So that's the question that's been teed up. Do we need more real estate agents and expansion out of the real estate company space?
It is actually a good thing that's happening right now, and new faces in real estate and a younger real estate crowd would actually be very helpful. Reason being is there's a lot of agents that are not too savvy still with social media, with the internet, and newer, younger agents would be, and it would be a lot more helpful to the actual buyer community.
Fewer as technically sound as I am. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this isn't an example of just the seasoned veterans that are jumping ship from one organization and landing with another.
A lot of times the seasoned veterans, they jump ship thinking that it's going to boost their careers. In actuality, it does not. And there's a lot of companies that are changing names today to compete. so that newer sellers and buyers think, oh, well, they must have something new going on and new technology, et cetera. At the end of the day, it's all the same.
Good old-fashioned hard work is what it's all the same of, right?
That's exactly right. It's good old-fashioned hard work.
All right. Marco's an advocate. Thanks for being with us, Marco. That's Marco Ruffo from Berkshire Hathaway over in Pacific Palisades. And we're going to jump over to Beth Stein, who's leading the charge for Coldwell Banker. Beth, are you with us?
I am.
So tell me what your thoughts are. Marco actually thinks it's a good idea. It's bringing in the youth, the next generations, those that are my age and technically sound as I am. Phil's laughing right now. Beth, you're not laughing, are you?
Not laughing at all.
Thank you. This is why I invite you on the show.
Have you met Nelson?
So tell me, what do you think? Are you recruiting the next generation and expanding Coldwell Banker's operations?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to think about always what the next generation is going to be like. We have some incredible veterans in our particular company. We're very, very diverse. We've got, young kids in their, 19, 20, 21, 22, and we've got seasoned veterans. We've got one agent who's working for us who's in her 80s and is still going away,
Phil's age.
Going like gangbusters. So you've got to continue to expand your base, especially in a market like this where we see a lot of activity happening, and there's, the market's starting to shift and to turn a corner, and, we're seeing all kinds of expansion. And when you've got a large company like this, we have the ability, nothing succeeds like the success of a large broker like our company with greater access to services and marketing support and training to be able to bring these people up and these young and new people come in who have tons of energy.
Yeah, and train them right. All right, Beth,
exactly.
Great response. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought that really we would have more resistance. Phil, in my industry, there is the same sort of movement going on, but it's just the same community of people that are ending up with a new business card and a different name at the top of the building, not necessarily an influx of the next generation of business people.
But, I'll tell you something, though, Rob. We're seeing a lot of people. There are people who are switching teams and going to different companies, but at the end of the day, it's because they're not doing the business that they think they should be doing, and they think that if they change venues, that's going to shift their business for them. But at the end of the day, you take yourself with you when you go.
Just kind of like somebody that goes through divorce. They go into their second marriage, and guess what? They show up. It's the same issue, I guess. Beth, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment of Street Noise sponsored by our partner, Michael L. Fell, one of Orange County's most recognized criminal defense and victims' rights attorneys. If you need help with the DUI, you can text the word OCDUI to 313131, and throughout the show, you can contact us direct. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Let's jump down to Orange County and Marcel Ford from Old Newport Realty. Marcel, how you doing?
Nelson, good afternoon, sir. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking.
So the question I'm going to ask you about the plans of the majors and new real estate companies coming up and expanding. I know you feel that there should really only be one agent in the greater Southland, correct?
Yes, there should be.
So what are your thoughts? You think expansion is good?
Well, I think expansion is good. I think it gives clients a lot more options. There's a lot of different service providers, a lot of different levels of service that different companies provide. First Team is ramping up about 10% administrative staff. They're bringing on about another 20% more agents. I don't know if that's the right way to go, bringing on more agents. I think what they need to do is focus on possibly fewer agents, but better quality agents.
So more training, more education, more preparedness to actually compete in the marketplace.
Exactly. And there's a couple small shops coming out, too, here in the Newport Beach coastal areas where some of the better agents are grouping together and starting new brokerages, and that'll be interesting to see how they hopefully provide a different level of service to the masses to their client base.
All right, Marcel, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Marcel Ford from Old Newport Realty down in Corona Del Mar, if I could say it right. And guess what? It looks like expansion is across the board unanimous. People are looking to see the next generation come in, better educated, better trained agents coming into the marketplace. So there you have it. Street Noise, brought to you by our legal partner, the law office of Michael L. Fell, one of Orange County's top criminal defense attorneys. If you need representation, text the letters OCDUI to 313131 or call me direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We have a fantastic guest coming up, taking a deeper look at the bankruptcy and really what to do post-bankruptcy with Kelly Johnson from Newport Beach. We'll be right back.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title 365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com. DOI license number 0235301.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. Welcome back. I'm excited to be with our special guest, Kelly Johnson from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson down in Newport Beach. Kelly's an expert in bankruptcy. And there's been, obviously, in this economic cycle, a tremendous upswing of bankruptcies and some poorly executed bankruptcy filings as well. So we're going to look at that. This segment brought to you by our newest sponsor, Lion Air Museum, where we just broadcast last week. The Lion Air Museum down at John Wayne Airport, an incredible tribute to the military aviators. We're going to be back there this April 3rd with our next seminar series for the estate planning law firms. If you want to find out more, give us a call, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or you can find us on the web at nelsonradio.com. So, Kelly, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Nelson. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
You know, there's a lot of confusion, and we had some conversation about this in terms of not necessarily mistakes, but just bad timing or poor counsel. Maybe it is mistake-making in terms of some of the filings out there. And I just wanted some of the basics. I mean, obviously, there's the messaging from a marketing standpoint that bankruptcy sets you free. There's not a worry left in the world once you filed, and that's chasing rainbows, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, there's certainly some good things to be accomplished, and typically the people that are seeking bankruptcy protection, they're doing it for a reason. There's some type of triggering event that necessitates the filing. So if there's a good reason to do it, and you can protect your assets and get through the process and get a discharge if it's a Chapter 7 situation, then it makes a lot of sense. But there are downfalls and other issues that arise in terms of protecting assets and exemptions and that type of thing also.
Well, just on the protecting asset side, I mean, everybody thinks that you file, you lose everything, you start over. That's intimidating. If you're middle-aged like Phil or somebody younger like me, it could be even intimidating. But what about your house, your autos, things that you absolutely need? Are those at risk?
Well, depending on the value, and basically it's established by state law. And in California, there's restrictions and limitations with respect to how much equity you can have in a house or in a car at the time you file. For example, in California, there's a $100,000 homestead exemption as the standard rule. If you're older, for example, over 65 or disabled, and there's other specific exceptions too. There you go.
Yeah. Keep talking, Nelson.
You can go up to $175,000 of equity to exempt, and other states, for example, like Florida, have an unlimited homestead exemption.
So when let me just jump in for a second. When we talk about homestead exemption, let's say you are filing bankruptcy, but you do have more than $100,000 in equity. What happens at that point? Are they able to take a certain amount of that? Do you have to sell the home and they take a certain amount of that equity, or how does that work?
Well, the issue is whether or not the Chapter 7 trustee would administer the asset, and that's typically based upon whether or not there'd be a benefit to the creditors of the estate. So if it's maybe $110,000 equity that you would have commissions to be paid and other costs of sale, there'd be no net benefit to the estate. So it's typically a certain amount over that exemption that they would sell the asset and pay the homeowner the exemption amount and then distribute the rest pro rata to creditors. So it just kind of depends on the situation.
Got it.
And what about the bill collectors? Obviously, they're aggressive. I don't know if it seems like they're just some lawless dogs that go fighting and chasing aggressively. Bankruptcy, does that shut down that pursuit of repayment?
It does, Nelson, at least initially. The bankruptcy filing, Bankruptcy Code Section 362, the automatic stay ceases all creditor activity. So it does give you some temporary breathing room. And then if you're able to discharge the unsecured debt through the process, then you won't have to deal with them later. However, you still need to deal with secured debt such as houses and cars that creditors, if you don't pay them, can go against the collateral.
We're with Kelly S. Johnson from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson down in Newport Beach. This segment brought to you by Lion Air Museum. Lion Air Museum, a tribute to the military aviator. Give us a shout with any questions. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or find out additional information at nelsonradio.com. I had another question, and that is, in your practice, do you see people that are debt abusers as a mainstay? I mean, that's kind of a misnomer. I think it's a misnomer that people that just were careless and frivolous with their debts, they loaded up, they got underwater, and now they have to file. Is it that, or is there some life event that actually triggers a bankruptcy filing?
Well, it usually is something that causes that. There are people that go out and abuse the process. They incur credit card debt beyond their means, in which case the Office of the U.S. Trustee may object to a discharge. The creditor could sue for fraud and try to have the debt deemed non-dischargeable. But usually the people that I'm dealing with are having some type of event that is occurring. It's a foreclosure. It's a lawsuit. It's a bank levy or a garnishment of wages. There's something that happens that causes them to file bankruptcy.
Or maybe medical.
Medical, that's a big part of it, too. People incur medical expenses. There's people who have a company. They guarantee a lease. The company goes out of business. They still owe hundreds of thousands of dollars on a lease over the next couple of years. They can't pay it, and that precipitates filings also.
Phil and I were talking before the broadcast, and it was the question was coming up in terms of, do people wait too long? And I know I was saying to Phil, in the mortgage sector, we see this, and we also see many, many examples of people that have relief available to them that don't act on it. And the example here with the HARP financing, as we're familiar with,
right,
where only 20% of the eligible community has actually pursued that refinance relief through the HARP program. Does that exist in bankruptcies?
Well, it does to some extent. Unfortunately, people don't realize what their rights are. People try to keep things afloat. They keep trying to pay on a mortgage that maybe they can't afford, a home they can't afford. Unfortunately, I see people burn through $100,000, $200,000 over the course of a couple of years, liquidating IRAs, 401ks, and then they still are in the same position. They can't pay the debts, they lose their home, and then they don't have any retirement at that point.
And those could be protected assets.
Yeah, those would be typically exempt in a Chapter 7 filing if people realize that and don't maybe go as long before they file.
Now, as a follow-up, once somebody does file, how long after the filing until they get their credit history back, until they can kind of rebuild their life?
Yeah, it's a good question, because what typically happens in a normal Chapter 7 filing, and Chapter 13s are a little bit different because it's a restructuring of debt similar to Chapter 11, but on an individual basis. Chapter 7 process typically entails the filing, a meeting of creditors, a 60-day period thereafter that runs, and if creditors don't bring a non-dischargeability claim, then they're able to get the discharge as long as there aren't assets or some type of impropriety in the filing.
Well, you got me. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
But like I tell people, you don't file unless you need to file, and there's typically a reason.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask this question because, like we were talking about, so many people present the bankruptcies as the magic elixir. All problems go away post-bankruptcy. Is there a plan to recover, a plan for people to actually reestablish and get beyond this particular financial season?
Well, there is. And the filings trying to deal with the immediate financial issues, but the whole purpose of filing bankruptcy is to get a fresh start, to be able to move on and move upward. And in any case, if you can go back and reestablish your credit, go get a secured credit card, keep paying on your other debt, and you'll be able to reestablish credit and still go out and get financing. You may pay a little higher rate of interest. You may put a little more down on something, but you see a lot of signs out there. We'll still finance you even if you're in bankruptcy.
Yeah. And that's the encouragement, is that these seasons come up. Kelly Johnson from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson down in Newport Beach, I want to thank you for being on Nelson Radio. And here's a full scope kind of approach to these seasons come up, where he can handle your case going in and he can guide and direct you going out. Coming up, Coach's Corner next. A must listen. We've got the founder and author of Life Mastery, nationally renowned Christian leader Bob Shank is going to be with us here on Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Lion Air Museum. You can give us a call direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We'll be right back.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 023531.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations and MLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and it's important to understand the swath of damage caused by the mortgage meltdown. Obviously, there was poor lending practices leading into, but now there's poor customer service coming out of. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Envoy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can go down if the market improves. Purchase closings in as little as 2 weeks. Refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. And close-on-time guarantees. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from a mortgage lender. Accountability from your lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136. 888-888-2136 or on the web at strongcreditrewards.com.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title 365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce Orange County to the law office of Michael L. Fell. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction and record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Fell direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-585-9055. That's 949-585-9055, or text the letters OCDUI to 313131 for the law office of Michael L. Fell. Welcome back, KTLK AM 1150. You're with Nelson Radio, and we have Kelly Johnson that's going to stay on air with us as we go into this next segment. Our Coach's Corner, brought to you by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and on-time limousine transportation services worldwide. If you need a limo, all you need to do is text the word limo to 313131, and they'll take great care of you. With any questions that come up as we go through our show today, give us a call direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. And I want to introduce a very special guest into our Coach's Corner, and this is so appropriate the day before Easter. We're going to have Bob Shank join us, and Bob is, in my eyes, the who's who of Christian leaders in our community, and endorsed by so many of the greats with Franklin Graham and Kenton B. Shore and Greg Laurie. And Bob and I connected recently, and we were talking about his current ministry, Life Mastery. He's the author of the book, and really spending time to grow people, grow individuals, but just as importantly, mentor them and guide them along the way. So, Bob, welcome to the program.
Delighted to be with you.
So here we are, right at the end of Holy Week, and obviously your ministry is a Christian ministry, and I just wanted to open with a funny question, but it's one that it comes up so often, and that is, people are just downright scared of the name Jesus, or they want to think of him as a pal, like Jesus Christ and his disciples are known as JC and the boys. And why are people so intimidated?
Well, I think they're intimidated by an image or an illusion of who Jesus was. Dial back and look at how his biographers recounted his story. The amazing thing about it is the only people who had a problem with him were the people of power, and he represented a confrontation of their power because their power was being exercised to benefit themselves and not other people. And the people who were most likely to be drawn to him were people who were often in their culture found to be powerless or wanted to find ways to maximize their lives, but the system didn't allow for that. He sure did.
It sounds like they were threatened. You know, and certainly in our marketplace today, coming at it from a business standpoint, you mentioned in your Life Mastery course that our working culture is stuck. And the reference that I'm going to make here is something you shared with me in terms of how we train for our career, endure our career, and then retire and try and recover from our career. Elaborate on that for us.
Well, Rob, there's a message found in the fact that the first thing people do when they win the super lottery in our country is to go into their workplace the next day and resign. Clearly, the fulfillment that's found in one's career pursuit, for the most part in America, just doesn't do what people need done. They find themselves with a longing for something better and more fulfilling. And in most situations, Americans aren't finding that in their employment environment.
And I know with your ministry, mentoring is the centerpiece of it. And I look at my own life. I've got a very defined set of mission, vision, and goals, as Kelly does. But you indicate that that's just not enough, that there is something else needed.
Milestones of achievement can keep me busy and preoccupied. But if they're not in the pursuit of something larger and more meaningful, they can really fall flat. And even achievement over time can become less and less gratifying as it continues ad nauseum. What I really propose in the book is that the underlying purpose that defines our lives, which is not generic but very individualized, it's a beginning point. If I don't really understand what I'm here for in a lifetime, to figure out what my short-term goals in a 1 year or 3 year or even 5 year time frame really falls flat because it's not taking me anywhere. To be the fastest person to get nowhere is of limited benefit to the individual.
Makes sense.
What I'm really about is helping people get a sense of the big picture. I think we're living in an interesting time. People like Bill and Melinda Gates, who, having reached the pinnacle of their professional success, instead of going off and buying an island somewhere or becoming professional recreators, they've taken on a task of resolving health crises and instilling education in places where people are stuck. Those kinds of larger issues have now preoccupied them, and as important and as valuable as their career lives were, they've refined themselves to say it's no longer about acquiring, it's now about investing. And that's even captured the attention of a man like Warren Buffett, who with Gates now are about the business of establishing this giving pledge among the people who are at the top of the Forbes 400 list, to challenge people to think beyond simply success and acquisition, to begin looking at giving the same kind of intentional strategic seriousness to giving back and changing things that can be addressed by the kind of expertise and strategic leadership that their marketplace lives have benefited from. That's what we're doing on an individualized basis.
This is Nelson Radio. We're with Bob Shank, the founder and author of Life Mastery. Bob, I wanted to ask you this question. Your book states that so many people are defined by their job, their position or firm or salary. That ends with their career, and there's many examples where their lives are shattered when that kind of connection or identity vanishes. Tell us about that.
Well, all of us are on a kind of a mission to establish who we are. And when I give away power over my identity to a professional position that really is beyond my control, I'm putting myself in a vulnerability that may not have a short-term effect, but boy, somewhere down the line, when a company closes, when an industry redefines, when even the sale and success of a business in transitioning the owner or entrepreneur out of that setting, when one walks away from their office and finds that they've walked away without an identity, it can become a crisis of immense personal proportion that is entirely avoidable if we go at our lives with a bigger picture than simply what we do to establish our income stream.
Makes perfect sense. Stay with us, Bob Shank, authoring the Life Mastery book and leading our community in terms of his life ministry. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We'll be right back.
Oh no, the radio.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 023501.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations and MLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and it's important to understand the swath of damage caused by the mortgage meltdown. Obviously, there was poor lending practices leading into, but now there's poor customer service coming out of. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Envoy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can go down if the market improves. Purchase closings in as little as 2 weeks. Refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. And close-on-time guarantees. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from a mortgage lender. Accountability from your lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or on the web at strongcreditrewards.com.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
It's the day before Easter. We're on Nelson Radio with Bob Shank, author of Life Mastery and an industry expert in terms of mentoring men and mentoring women as well. You have the Life Mastery series for women as well in your program, correct?
Our work is called the Masters Program, and we work with small groups of leaders around the country. They tend to be gender specific because, quite frankly, the issues and challenges that women face in their career lives are unique and distinct from those challenged for men. And so we work with groups on a pretty intentional basis to help men along in their journey and women as well, but in gender-specific groups.
So, Bob, let me ask you this. Southern California, it's got to be the epicenter of not enough time and not enough money. How do you overcome that objection when you're wanting to help somebody on that journey?
Well, there's a principle that we all stand to either benefit from or to suffer under, and it's called the 80-20 principle. It's not a theory. nor is it proprietary. It's widespread, and its effects are felt by all of us. But we fall into patterns that are prone to replication, where we're content to give ourselves to doing things that just don't produce enough return and benefit and revenue to justify sustaining them. And then we get up tomorrow and do it all over again. The vast majority of our activities are not producing enough positive results to really warrant sustainability, but we just get stuck in patterns that we don't know how to get rid of. There's an intentionality that comes with objective voice that understands how that works. And we come in with tools and assessments that allow people to really begin to understand what the activity mix that they have already present in their life that represents their greatest leverage and the place where their returns go off the chart. And then the boldness to just be able to come in and take the personal pruning shears to my life and say, I'm going to begin stepping away from things that don't warrant continuation so that I can free myself for doing even more of the things that warrant maximizing. And all of a sudden, I'm getting more results. I'm working less to do that, and I'm creating margin that I didn't have before. The problem is endemic, but it's resolvable. And most of the time, we just need some objective eyes from outside of our own circle to spot the obvious and to challenge us to do something about it.
It reminds me of a comment that I use quite often. If you do what you've always done, you'll always get what you already have. And I think that's probably one of the scarier parts about change is that people default back to habits, whether they're good or not. You're listening to Nelson Radio. We're with Bob Shank, the author of Life Mastery and the Masters series. We want you to call. Give us a shout. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or you can text my name, Nelson, to 313131, and we can tell you more about Life Mastery. Bob, there's a question that we asked last week. We had Billie Jean King on the show, and we asked her the question, is it more difficult to build something the first time or rebuild after you've had a loss or come into some life-changing moment? What's your opinion?
Well, sometimes the culture that we're in wants to revisit the lack of success that we may have experienced earlier on. And sometimes the vulnerability that comes from just recounting and revisiting the lack of achievement gets us into a mode where we think that we can't really do what we set out to do in the first place. Frankly, what we call failure, more often than not, is just the lack of success thus far. If I call it a failure, I'm likely to stop or slow to the point that there's no way it can work. If I just recognize that what I'm really dealing with is the lack of success thus far, my faithfulness and determination are more likely to take me to a place where I will finally see this thing that I've been attempting proving itself viable. And most people don't succeed on the first, second, or third attempt. It's the ones that stick with it that ultimately we envy, but it's just because they were willing to stick with it doggedly and see their vision come to reality.
Billie Jean King called it not failure, but feedback. And obviously, when you're going through those difficult times, it's just flat out rough. Are there specific things that you would coach our listeners with just overcoming those hard times, those challenges as they're on that journey?
Well, anybody who thinks they're going to bat 1,000 in life only has one at bat, and they got lucky then. If you're going to be I addressed a room full of professional baseball players a couple months ago in Florida and said, boy, I'm jealous of being in a profession where you can fail 2/3 of the time and number one in the league.
Right, exactly.
The reality is that they're smart enough to only focus on the times that they got a hit, rather than all the times that they didn't. We need to learn from that, to celebrate the successes and to recognize the lessons that are found in the in experiences that did not prove successful. I'm not going to call them failures because too often we think failure is absolute, and it's not.
One of the things that I enjoyed in meeting you was the fact that not only are you outspoken, but you're black and white in your opinion. With that, we all know the target becomes bigger on your back. What do you do about criticism? Is that just the rite of passage, or is there specific coaching you'd give us on dealing with the critics and the naysayers?
The only people without critics are the people who aren't attempting anything significant. Leadership is inherently disruptive. And disruption is always going to generate response from people who don't want to be stabilized. They like things dependable, even if they're dependable at an undesirable level. So any leader who is put off by criticism and is willing to stop because of it should be leading in the first place. It's not easy, but nothing good in life is.
And here's the key thing with your role that you're leading these various groups. I understand you're now in 28 states. Have you moved internationally at all?
We've got a presence in Canada. We're in the midst of translating our curricular materials into Spanish, and we've got beta groups getting ready to go in South America, in Spain, and curiously in some other Latin American environments where you would never imagine the kind of work that we do coming into position and opportunity.
Fantastic. I'm with Bob Shank, the founder and author of Life Mastery. Perfect message as we move into the Easter holiday, and just that perspective that we do need to have a defined purpose. We have one, now discovering it and acting on it. Bob, thanks for being with us.
Great to be with you, Nelson, and may your listeners have a phenomenal day tomorrow as they celebrate what Christians say is the day that God demonstrated his power over death in the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Bob. That's Bob Shank, author and founder of Life Mastery. You're listening to Nelson Radio. We want you to continue to follow us into the next segment as we move towards the Stump. Stump the experts. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136, or text my name, Nelson, to 313131, or you can jump on the web at nelsonradio.com. We'll be right back. This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce Orange County to the law office of Michael L. Fell. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction and record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Fell direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-585-9055. That's 949-585-9055, or text the letters OCDUI to 313131 for the law office of Michael L. Fell.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower costs. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778, or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 0235301.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and it's important to understand the swath of damage caused by the mortgage meltdown. Obviously, there was poor lending practices leading into, but now there's poor customer service coming out of. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Envoy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can go down if the market improves. Purchase closings in as little as 2 weeks. Refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. And close-on-time guarantees. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from a mortgage lender. Accountability from your lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or on the web at strongcreditrewards.com. KTLK AM 1150 with Nelson Radio, and we're moving into the Stump the Experts. This segment brought to you by My Mortgage Services, providing our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees. Finally, accountability from your lender. Give me a call direct, 888-888-2136. You're going to be introduced to nearly 3 decades of mortgage professional services. That's 888-888-2136. We're going to move into the Stump the Expert segment with Kelly Johnson, who was our guest earlier talking about bankruptcies, and he's going to try and stump Nelson. Let's see what he got.
Okay, here we go, Nelson. In the reality of this market, today's market, what do agents do to market my home? And most importantly, what should they do to market my home?
Well, and this is one of the things that comes out. Homes are selling so quickly, and typically the agent will come in with that community of, here's our internet mediums, here's our social mediums that we use to broadcast your home, here's our print mediums, and what we're introducing actually to our referral partners is also engaging in radio, where homes can be showcased and get a wide audience exposed to those homes. In this marketplace where there's a low inventory, it is not as hard to sell a home. It seems like you can pound a stake into the front yard and the home is sold with multiple offers, multiple cash offers. But this market's going to change, and as interest rates climb as we move perhaps in the balance of 2013 or 2014, all these different mediums are going to have to be deployed.
Secondly here, I refinanced my 15-year home loan in May of 2010, paid $39.50 in points, and paid the loan off the end of last year. However, TurboTax will not let me deduct the remaining cost points now that the loan is paid off. How can I get TurboTax to let me deduct the rest?
So they're tapping into my accounting background or my tech support background. I'm not sure which. Either way, here's what people don't realize, putting TurboTax aside, is that when you incur the expense of points to buy down that interest rate and you put that expense back into your mortgage, you finance that expense, you only get the write-off incrementally consistent with the term of the loan. So in this example, you write off 1/15 of the loan. Here, he paid off the loan after a couple of years. He loses the deduction. That's my understanding. So obviously, he needs to turn to a CPA first and then call IT support and let TurboTax take care of it from there. But he loses the deduction, I think.
Here's another one, Nelson. I have an eye for remodeling and home improvement, but there's a balance you have to follow because there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to improvements. Where do you draw the line?
Well, in so many cases, people can over-improve their loan. I mean, they come in with some imported marble. They have unbelievable upgrades that are fantastic as you're living there as the homeowner, but they don't translate dollar for dollar when it comes to selling. And so many people are improving their properties right now. And so you just have to be careful. You don't need to go over gold-laden faucets or something of that extravagant a level. You can still do improvements, but you got to keep them in reason because you're not going to get a dollar-for-dollar return. There's no way they can stump the expert. I'm feeling bulletproof right now. So that was the Stump the Expert segment. This is brought to you by My Professional Mortgage Services, 29 years of experience in something our industry desperately needs, close-on-time guarantees. Give me a shout. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or you can text my name, Nelson, to 313131. And as we close out the show, it is the day before Easter. We have Little Man Tate on air with us, and he's going to showcase another child that needs your sponsorship from Treasures of Africa down in Moshi, Tanzania. Tate, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dad. How are you?
I'm rocking. Hey, I wanted to find out about the little boy that you selected for sponsorship for this week.
Yeah, so I selected Little Justice here, and the reason why I chose him is because Tanzania is one of the most high concentrated areas for HIV/AIDS, and so so many of these children inside this orphanage have AIDS, and so the little boy's mother had died soon after birth, and the father was unknown. He actually showed up a couple months later, but was not allowed to take care of him due to brewing illegal alcohol.
Oh, there you have it. Okay.
Yeah, so he's allowed, visits until the state will agree that his lifestyle will be a little bit more suitable for justice. But right now he's growing. He's growing a little bit slower because of his HIV, but he's doing strong in the organization.
And the unique thing about Treasures of Africa is that they are bringing up, through the orphanage, community leaders, community changers, difference makers. And this is the key thing. This isn't just a call out for support that's providing food, clothing, clean drinking water. This is an educational platform as well that's developing these children to make a difference down in Moshi, Tanzania. We want to ask for your support. Sponsor the Little Justice. We'll have his picture up on our website at nelsonradio.com. And also we have that special ask, especially at this time in celebrating Easter, a $2 million gift is going to allow Treasures of Africa to build out their entire compound, a new 5-acre parcel that'll provide a new housing, new dispensary, new education, schooling. It's a fantastic program that we want to invite you to participate. Couple of bests of the day, of course. Bob Shank guiding us as we go into Easter was unbelievable. The author and founder of Life Mastery. Want to invite you to pick up one of his books. If you text my name, Nelson, to 313131, I'll send you his book signed, and it'll be hopefully a kickoff for you looking at the second half. And I want to thank Kelly Johnson from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson down in Newport Beach and guiding his clients through not only the bankruptcy and the important counsel that it takes going into it, but also helping his clients recover and come back from that difficult financial season. Thanks for being here, Kelly. These are must calls. We want to hear from you. Give us a call direct anytime, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or text my name, Nelson, to 313131, and I'll send you Bob Shank's book signed, Life Mastery. Thanks so much for being with us. We look forward to being with you next week back at the Lion Air Museum down at John Wayne Airport. Talk to you then.